Well, that's a pretty good start, isn't it? When you're not even on the camera. Good morning, everyone. How the devil are you doing this fine day? Me? Well, I made it through another working week. Well, almost. There's still a bit more to do before I can rest my weary bones this weekend, and that includes preparing a new podcast to mark the anniversary of one of the UK demolition industry's unsung hero companies. I'll tell you more about that next week. Speaking of podcasts, I'm scheduled to be a guest on a Canadian podcast in a few weeks' time. Make a nice change to be on the other side of the questions. Also, I'm informed by the good Mrs. Demolition News that next week is actually a short one. So just a quick heads up, there will be no show on Friday next week, as I will probably be in a chocolate egg-induced coma by then. Now, before we go any further, there is another prize up for grabs. We're rapidly getting through the merch that we brought back from Las Vegas, but there is another one up for grabs today. And today, it is that brand spanking new, hot off the press, Rokbak baseball cap, hauled all the way back from Las Vegas by yours truly. You know the score by now. Just type the word Rokbak into the chat, and we will draw a winner at the end of the show. And after complaints yesterday about the size of the type, that's what you need to do. It's Rokbak, Rokbak. Type that into the chat, and we will hopefully draw a winner at the end of the show. Yes. That's it. That's all there is. Now, without further ado, let me roll the intro, post the question of the day, and get this show on the road. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I'm your host, Mark Anthony. Yes, it is Friday, the 31st of March. Welcome to the Breakfast Show. I am your host, Mark Anthony. In today's show, blasting between two bridges. Rokbak breaks America. Rokbak, remember? Rokbak breaks America. We're hammering the point home with Connect Work tools, and we're talking track loaders with the fine folks at Gehl. Plus, we're feeding the ducks with case construction equipment, and we're going to get to all of that in just a second. But first, let's see who among the rich and the shameless will be celebrating a birthday on this day of days. Happy birthday! And it's many happy returns. Script's gone weird. It's many happy returns to French philosopher René Descartes and to German composer Johann Sebastian Bach. Happy birthday also to the first African-American world heavyweight champion, Jack Johnson, to jazz trumpeter Herb Alpert, environmentalist Al Gore, and to actor Ewan McGregor. But far more importantly, today marks the birthday of one of rock music's favourite sons, one of the all-time great guitarists, the Aussie with the axe, AC/DC's Mr. Angus Young. Many happy returns to them, one and all. Now, before we actually get the show underway, here's a very quick reminder of that question of the day. Yes, I had a long chat with a guy from Vancouver last night, and Canada is a place that remains very, very high on my bucket list. So the question of the day today is, what would be your ultimate holiday destination? Love to hear from you on that. Now, let's get the show started proper, shall we? I was going to say a couple of quick good mornings. Darren's son is in the house. Morning, gents, and morning to you, Darren. Thank you very much indeed for being here. Morning, Tony. Glad to see you've entered the arena for the Rokbak hat. Al Grierson's here all the way from Luxembourg. Good to see you here as well. And to Jim, to Gary, to Steve, to Nick, and anybody else that seems to be lurking there, thank you very much indeed for being there. Mark Whiting's just joined us as well. And Ken Hatcher's ultimate holiday destination, proving that he's a complete bloody anorak. Caterpillar, Malaga. Yes, okay, let's get on with the show, shall we? Now, demolishing a bridge. Pretty impressive feat of engineering, regardless of the circumstances. Demolishing a bridge using explosives requires both skill and control. But demolishing an old bridge that is located between two brand new bridges, it's quite another matter. Yeah, what a terrific job. Massive hats off to all involved. Just going to hop back into the chat because it seems as if people are even more Anaraki than I thought. Ken Hatcher wants to go to Caterpillar's Proving Ground in Malaga. Gary Muirhead wants a tour around the steel wrist factory. Gary, I'm actually in discussion with Steel Wrist at the moment. I will have a word. I'll see what I can do. Far more sensibly, I think. Steve Williamson wants a tour around. No, he doesn't. He wants to go to Texas for the music, the rodeo, and the food. Fair play to you. And who else did we have? New Zealand, says Jim Turner. In fact, I want to move there, tour around both islands and pull in a bit of shooting whilst there too. That sounds like a far more sensible idea. And there is a man who's enjoyed his birthday earlier this week and he's now probably sporting a pair of Grib socks, John Fitzmaurice from Firewood. Thanks for being here, John. Right, let's get back to the main part of this show, shall we? Funny story. Myself and Fred rocked up onto the Connect Work Tools booth at ConExpo, and I was greeted like a long-lost friend by the guy you're about to meet. Apparently, I'd commented on something his wife had posted on LinkedIn, and she's a bit of a Breakfast Show fan. So when I arrived, her husband, Geordie Stewart, who you're about to meet, insisted on grabbing a selfie so that he could prove to his wife that we'd actually met in person. Of course, none of that's got anything to do with the subject of the film that we shot with Geordie, but it did my ego the power of good. So I just wanted to share that with you. I wanted to say thank you to Geordie, who may well be watching, because he was the guy I was telling you about yesterday, who gets up at 3:45 a.m. over in Wisconsin. So, Geordie, if you're here today, good morning. This is for you.
Geordie Stewart, Director of Sales for Connect Work Tools. Connect Work Tools offers hammers from 150 foot-pounds up to 16,000 foot-pounds. Demolition grapples. We just purchased Rockwheel Americas, which is the North American distributorship for Rock Zone. So we offer rock cutters, crushing buckets, and also trommel buckets. We have a pulverizer line, and then also plate compactors. So Connect Work Tools hammers are very user-friendly. They offer a really great operating and high return on investment. The owner operating cost is usually a lot lower than some of our mainline competitors that are out there. One of the biggest features is we are 100% oil-fired. So there is no nitrogen back charge to keep up with to chase around a job site. We have a slip fit lower bushing, which allows you to keep your tool in spec a lot easier. And then frankly, being a part of the Exodus Global Group, our main focus is product support, taking care of the customer first. That's our mainline business. And we would rather do the customer right than turn a profit at the end of the day. Obviously, one leads to the other, but the way we take care of business, the way we handle customers is probably our best selling feature. One of the biggest part about hammers is you can't tell what's going on inside the hammer until you take it apart. We are actively looking at putting telematics on our hammer to give the end user how many hours are actually on the hammer versus looking at the excavator, as well as how are their operators running it. With such a shortage of operators here in America that are qualified and good, it's good to know how your operators are running the hammer so that you can be very proactive to stop any damages that might happen just because people don't know. So we are going to add telematics this year into our hammers so that you get a better insight into the hammers without having to go through the process of breaking them down and understanding what's going on inside, and to kind of give an overall snapshot of the utilization of how they're working.
Yeah, massive thanks to Geordie for taking part in that film and for the extremely warm welcome as well. It was interesting to note, actually, that Connect Work Tools is yet another attachment brand that's growing by strategic acquisition. We previously had the same discussions with both Kinsoffer and Grib, both of whom have also added key brands to their product portfolios. Now, I want to urge you all to enter the Rokbak competition to win Rokbak hat. For some reason, I'm looking in the chat and I think I'm seeing 5 or 6 entries, but the randomizer is currently only showing 3. I don't know whether there's a glitch in the system or quite what's going on, but if you want to be in with a shout of winning that hat, I would suggest that you enter again. So as it says right down there, type Rokbak, Rokbak, into the chat for your chance to enter, and hopefully that will shake the randomizer loose. Now, so here's the thing. Let me just check to make sure this randomizer thing. Yes, that's it. Whoever did it, you mended the system. Thank you very much indeed. So here's the thing. I think we've all grown accustomed by now to the Rokbak name. We announced the launch of the Rokbak brand right here on this very show just over a year ago, I think. We got to see the Rokbak truck in the flesh at the Hillhead exhibition, and yet despite the fact that it is now a familiar name within the industry, the company has just exhibited at ConExpo for the first time under its own new branding. The timing could not be better for our Rokbak, which is currently enjoying some real success over in the North American market. So playing on that timing, we caught up with Managing Director Paul Douglas to find out more.
I'm Paul Douglas, I'm the Managing Director of Rokbak. This has been a fantastic event. It's been too long since we've been able to come to ConExpo and meet our partners, meet our customers. It's a huge show, and it's the first time since we launched Rokbak that we've been able to bring it to an event like this, to meet with our dealers, to meet with our customers, and to really show the world what Rokbak is and bring the excitement and the energy that the Rokbak is bringing to the marketplace. North America is a hugely important market for us. It always has been a large articulated hauler market, and we are starting to see more and more success. We've partnered with some really good dealers and distributors in North America and especially in the USA. So it's a really exciting time. We're seeing some great growth. The market is still very strong here. When I talk to our dealer partners, when I talk to customers, they are saying that the business is good, the construction and infrastructure projects are really strong. So there's a real huge energy and excitement about, getting more product, getting more Rokbak into the marketplace here in the USA. The reception to the Rokbak brand has been fantastic, and we are really enjoying the feedback that we're getting, not just from our existing dealers and customers, but also from other people in the market. The feedback and the support from Volvo has been excellent as well. So we've got to this point. There's a huge amount of passion and energy about the Rokbak brand, but now we go forward and we want to continue taking that message about not just what the products are, but the support that we give, the Rokbak team, the partners that we have, and the support that they can give to customers that are going to join us on this Rokbak journey. So as we go forward, we're going to continue to promote the brand. We're going to attend shows like this. We're going to go and do more events focused with our partners and customers, and we're going to invest in the product as well. The whole of the Volvo Group are passionately committed to achieving the science-based targets, and that's to get to zero emissions, CO2 emissions zero by 2040. All of the Volvo brands, all of the Volvo products are looking at what's the right technology to deploy as we go forward, whether it's battery electric or hydrogen internal combustion or hydrogen fuel cell. And there are many existing projects and ongoing activities within Volvo in all 3 of those areas. So we're going to be part of that. As we develop and grow the Rokbak brand and the articulated haulers, we are going to see some of this new technology coming down the road, and we, like the rest of Volvo, will be a zero emissions product in the near future.
Yeah, fantastic to see a British-built ADT proving so popular stateside. So good luck to Paul and the team going forward. Speaking of Paul and the team, if you'd like to sport the Rokbak brand yourself on your noggin, you can do so. Let me throw up the banner again. It's there. There we go. Type Rokbak into the chat for your chance to win that baseball cap. Rokbak, Rokbak. And we will be drawing that in 2 videos time, I think. Now, let me get back to where we should be, which is roughly here. Just a very quick good morning to Lou Carney, who's just joined us, who says, hello, everyone. Morning, Lou. What is it, 74 days to plant works now? I believe it is. Right, okay, on with the show. We mentioned in one of these shows earlier this week that just how much our American cousins love a track loader. Well, following ConExpo 2023, they now have several more to choose from.
My name is Justin Serway. I'm a product training specialist for Manitou Group. So the machine behind me is part of a 6 series new models that we just launched. 3 new skid loaders and 3 new track loaders. VT210, VT230, and the VT275 on the track loaders. E standing for a vertical lift machine, T standing for a track. The model number stands for its lifting capacity. So 210, add a 0 at the end, 2,100 pound capacity machine. So a couple new features on the machine. The first one that you'll probably notice is the shaped lift arm on the sides. It's lowered on the outside, pitched, so you have a greater visibility out to the side of the machine while you're operating. The other new feature that we've improved on is our patented ideal access door, which we currently have, but we've made some improvements, adding 3 inches of visibility on the bottom of the door and changing it to only a 1 grab handle in the front versus 2. The door folds up on top of the operator. It doesn't go above your head, it shortcuts before you. And you can use the lift arm in any position and with any attachment in the front without having to worry about breaking the door. A lot of new intuitive lighting controls on the inside, helping those operators that may be unskilled or for the rental market, allowing them to easily operate, get into our machine, and understand what needs to be done. Another new feature on these machines is our sloped roof with a smaller cross member in the front, so easier visibility as you look up. It's also tapered to the side, so any rain that comes down flows off to the outside. One more thing on our new loaders is it's our largest cab to date, over 23% larger than our previous units. The other major improvement on our machines is our serviceability. Simply remove 2 bolts inside the cab, and the cab rolls back 68 degrees for easy access underneath.
He said roof. Roof. Yeah, Gail is a name that I know, but I don't really see many of those around these days. But I have checked, and there are 2 dealers right here in the UK offering those very compact loaders. You can find them by hopping over to Gehl.com. Now, I can tell you that the final video of the show lasts for 2 minutes and 45 seconds, which, including my babble, means that you've got precisely 3 minutes to type the word Rokbak into the chat, Rokbak, for your chance to enter that competition. I'm going to check very quickly. I think we currently have 7 entries, so you've got a 1 in 7 chance of winning, unless somebody else enters right now, in which case your chances just went down. Somebody else did just enter, I think. No, they've already entered. Never mind. Oh, hang on a minute. Somebody else has just entered. Oh, we're at 8 now. You've got a 1 in 8 chance of winning. Right, let me get back to one of these.
Since the finance bill came into effect in April, the construction industry has seen a surge of fuel thefts. The rising cost of living has placed an additional risk of theft by employees and contractors, as well as opportunistic thieves. By using diesel dye and placing warnings of its use, you are sending a clear message that this is your fuel.
Yeah, I'm just a little concerned that for some reason, I'm not entirely sure if the competition is picking up comments from LinkedIn this morning. I may be wrong on that, but it doesn't appear that it is. So if you are entering from LinkedIn and you don't find your name in the list, beyond my control, I'm afraid. not much I can do apart from give it a good kick. Okay, people, it is almost time for the weekend. Who would like to go and feed the ducks? Good. Yeah, Case really are on an upgrade kick at the moment, aren't they? I have to say, those new wheeled excavators really do look the part. And maybe, just maybe, maybe they need to. Just looking at the chat here, Steve Williamson, morning Steve, says, be interesting to have a go on one of those. Their last ones were not good. Okay, from the words of the operators, let's have a look. Not keen on the separate camera screen either. Cab clutter, as my mate Peter Haddock insists on calling it. Right, okay. Now, I can see that you are over on LinkedIn, Ryan. Good morning to you, by the way. I'm hoping that the system has registered your entry because it is now time to find out exactly who has won. How many entries did we end up with? We ended up with 9, which makes me think we might be okay. So let me roll the draw and see who has walked away with the Rokbak hack today. Gary Muirhead. Gary Muirhead, congratulations. You are now the proud owner, the very proud owner of one Rokbak hat. I think I sent you something so recently you may not even need to send me your address. So congratulations on that. I will get that in the post for you today, assuming I can find your address. I'm sure it's here somewhere. But congratulations. You must have a bit of a growing collection of hats by now, I would have thought. Al Grierson has just said about the Case machines. The last ones were upgraded 2005 O&K ducks. Maybe that explains exactly why they were not quite as good as perhaps you would have liked. And Al Grierson also goes on to say, congrats, Gary. Yeah, congrats, Gary. Thank you very much indeed for being here, as you so often are, as you always are, in actual fact. A deserved winner, I would say. Now, bit of... when I can find it, bit of this.
Sorry to interrupt the guy with the funny glasses, but if you're enjoying this video, please hit the like button as it helps our channel. Or, better still, Share this video with a friend or a colleague. Thank you. Right, back to Beardy.
And that pretty much wraps up the main part of this morning's show. I'm going to roll the outro in just a second before leaping gazelle-like over into the chat to see what you're all saying. And it did look like the chat was pretty busy this morning. If you can't stick around for that, then please stay safe, look after yourself, your family, your friends, and your colleagues. Have a great day, and thanks for watching. But if you do have the time and the inclination, and if you've got nothing better to do, I'll see you on the other side of this for the Craic. Going for a different thing today. Play out the wind. Turn it down a bit. Up a bit. That sounds about right to me. Hope everyone can hear it. Not loud, but I hope you can hear it clearly. Good morning to you, one and all. Rattling through the chat. First off the mark this morning was none other than superstar operator Steve Williamson. Morning, Steve. That was a bit of a Scottish flavour today. Steve was first off the mark. Gary Muirhead won the Rokbak hat, and obviously we had Paul Douglas from Rokbak themselves with his Scottish accent. So yes, very Scottish today. Ken Hatcher bringing up the Welsh end. Good morning from the Mint. He is at the Mint again. He goes to the Royal Mint a lot, and apparently it does come up a bit later in the chat. He is there to see a new coin being struck. Apparently, it's all wasted on me. I'm afraid I'm not entirely sure what he does there, but hey, each their own. Nick Drew is in the house. Morning, Nick. Hope you're fit and well, my friend. I think it comes up a bit later off that you're off on your travels fairly soon. We'll get to that in just a moment when it comes up. Jim Turner's here as well. Morning, Jim. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. And there is our eventual competition winner, Mr. Gary Muirhead. Happy Friday, gang. Yeah, happy Friday indeed. Lots of entries for the hat there. Darren's son. Good morning, Darren. Al Grierson's here from Luxembourg. He entered the competition as well. Tony Goddard is back for more of whatever the hell this is. He entered as well. Apologies for all those that didn't win. So my question of the day was, what would be your ultimate holiday destination? Caterpillar's Training Centre in Malaga, says Ken Hatcher. I think you need to widen your horizons, Ken. I know you've probably gone off to do your tour around the Mint by now, but you do need to widen your horizons. Mark Whiting is here as well. Morning, Mark. Thank you very much indeed for joining us. Steve Williamson quite clearly has developed a flavour for all things American. He wants to go to Texas for the music, the rodeo, and the food. Yeah, I think my son Fred would be along on board with that. Not so much for the rodeo, probably not for the music, but most certainly the food. My son does love him a brisket. Gary Muirhead wants a tour around the Steelers factory. Gary, let me see what I can do. I can only ask the question. As I say, I am speaking to Steelrist about a few bits and pieces at the moment. Let me see if I can lean on them a bit. I don't know. I'm sure my name carries no heft whatsoever, but I will do my level best. Jim Turner, who wants to move to New Zealand. You do realise that will require you to get up at some ungodly hour to tune into this show, Jim. You might want to rethink your life plans, because obviously, you've got to get your priorities right. John Fitzmaurice, who is cosy-footed in his new group socks right about now. Morning to you as well, John. Question of the day. Somewhere that's not too far away, I have ethical objections to flying, says Al Grierson. Have to admit, I wouldn't go so far as to say I have ethical objections, but I do have pangs of guilt now. Having, when you sit here 220 odd days of the year talking about the importance of sustainability and climate control and everything else, climate management and stuff, and then go and jump on a plane. It is a tough one. But he wants a temperate climate. Good food is a must. I spent a couple of weeks in Canada 20 years ago. It was lovely. Yeah, it's been on my bucket list since, I'll tell you now, around about June 1990. I got married in May 1990. And funnily enough, continuing with the Scottish theme, we went on holiday up to Oban in Scotland. Fantastic time. Beautiful place, fantastic people, awesome food. Had a great time. But the reason we'd stayed fairly close at home was I got married on the Saturday, went on holiday for 2 weeks, went on honeymoon for 2 weeks, and then I came back to start a new job. I basically quit my job. brave, I realised, but got married and quit my job basically at the same time. So I didn't want to go too far afield, didn't want to spend too much money because didn't know how the new job was going to work out. However, having settled in, a couple of months later, I went to the travel agent and said I'd like to go to Canada for a fortnight. And the guy said, yes, we can do that. And he was tapping away on his computer screen back in the day. And he said, you can do that. He said, but you realise you can go to Barbados for about half the price. So we went to Barbados instead. And it was great. But ever since then, Canada has been on my bucket list, and it remains there to this day. John Fitzmaurice has received his socks. Very cosy, thank you. I would hope so too. Made as they were in the French bit of Canada, apparently. Al Grissom says telematics in attachments seems to be the next big thing. You would have to think so. Yeah, you'd have to think so. I think there's so much that's going in favour of telematics on attachments. Obviously, when you're talking about mines and quarries with the big breakers and stuff like that, they're working remotely and being able to monitor them as well. But also, I think when you come down to more urban work, the ability to actually geofence them and to track exactly where they are, I think there's a lot to be said for that as well. So I quite agree, telematics in attachments, the way forward. Funnily enough, it was something that Rama were doing a decade ago, and in many ways I think they were ahead of the curve. They introduced it, I can't remember what it was called, but they was it called Ramses? I think it was, but Ramses system, and they introduced the system and the entire industry just went, I think now the time has come. There you are. Ken Hatcher has left us on a tour down the Mint, striking a Harry Potter coin. I almost feel like I've got to go to this Royal Mint that Ken goes to so often, just to see exactly what it is that keeps him going back. To my mind, there's probably a machine set up here, like some sort of metal stamping machine. And a piece of metal will go under it, something will drop down, and it will make it in a blank piece of metal into a Harry Potter coin. Would you necessarily take the entire morning off for that? I don't know. Listen, I'm a man who goes and stares at an unmoving fishing float for hours on end. I'm nobody to talk about people's hobbies, but that one does strike me as very, very odd. More entries for the competition there, lots and lots of those. Nick Drew back on our question of the day. It will come as no surprise. Finland for me. I'll be back in about 11 days. Fantastic. Have a great time. I'm sure I'll speak to you before then, Nick, but have a fantastic time. I know you are a big fan of Finland, and having been there, I don't know how many times, I can certainly understand the appeal. The one thing I've never done is actually holiday in Finland. We used to do the PR for both Rama, who I mentioned earlier, and Metso, or Nordberg as they were back in the day. So spent a fair bit of time in Lahti and in Helsinki as well. And there was another place that I used to go to quite a bit. One of my big regrets is that I never had the time to go fishing. Obviously, there's a lot of water in Finland. That would suit me just about fine. The trouble is, when Finland is warm enough to go fishing, it's also full of mosquitoes. But I'd still suffer it. Let's have a look. Dan Cullen's in the house as well. Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Miserable day in Hertfordshire. Miserable day here in Surrey as well. Jim Turner, your man Geordie is spot on about keeping an eye on the use or misuse of kit. There's plenty of operators out there that get the job done, but at the expense of abusing kit. Our job is a trade-off between looking after the machine and churning out production. And a good op hits the middle ground on that score. Totally right. Totally right. And again, I think all of those that object to driver aids and driver monitoring systems, I think they are the very people that it's like that thing that the people that object most loudly about the notion of things like ID cards are the ones that have something to hide. If you are a decent operator and you take good care of your kit, why would you have any issue with it being monitored? You wouldn't. Lou Carney is in the house, probably working furiously on all things plant works as we speak. Morning, Lou. Great product video from Rokbak. Great product video from my son Fred, actually. And there is more to come. Rokbak were incredibly accommodating. I think we actually shot 4, possibly 5 different films on their stand, going through various aspects. So their branding, the actual truck itself, obviously the one with Paul Douglas as well. We'll be bringing all of those to you over the coming weeks. Looks a great skid loader. Yeah, that would be the Gehl machine. Remember going to Battersea Power Station, late 1980s, when they first started to demolish it with, there was a Gail skid steer working in there back then, and I went to see it working. And about a fortnight after I was there, they stopped the entire project, and it remained mothballed for about another 25 years. Just things that stick in your head. More and more and more. Morning, Ryan, who entered the competition and missed out this time, unfortunately. Steve Williamson, not a huge fan of the previous generation of the Case Duck, but hopefully the new ones are a bit better. Great music to that video. I think that was talking about the Case machine as well. Ryan Lee was having issues with autocorrect, which put a C on the end of Rokbak, which didn't really do his chances any good, but there you are. Lots of people saying congratulations to Gary Muirhead, and there's Gary himself saying thanks Mark, much appreciated. You're more than welcome. Yes, I'm sure you do. Me and Mr. Muirhead, I'll have a collection of hats. I'm sure you do. I bet I've got you beat. I bet walls. One day I will actually give you the guided tour, or maybe I'll just do a video of all the hats that are up here. Just looking up, just to give you a very quick rundown: Brock, JCB, Miller, Liebherr, Bell, Kinsoffer, MTB, Norwegian Earth Mover, Doosan, Case, Liebherr, Caterpillar, Cat, Sleipner, Lugong, Komatsu, JCB, Komatsu, Dahako, Bobcat, Cymex, JCB, Mechalak, Liebherr, and some others as well. There's a John Deere one kicking around here somewhere, so there's quite the collection. Yes. If there is a hat fetishist around here at any point, he could do well to break into my house. Well done, Gary. We have at least one matching hat. I'd love to visit a JCB factory and a few plant yards. JCB factory I wouldn't say it's an open door policy, because you certainly can't go around the factory, but you most certainly can go to the JCB experience. You find yourself up in Uttoxeter, the JCB experience, off to one side of the world headquarters. You can literally walk the entire history of JCB, and it is a fantastic experience as well. Question of the day. Dan Cullen says JCB factory and a few other huge plant garages, yards in the UK. Be my dream to go to JCB. Well, as I say, you can certainly do that to a degree. You can, as I say, they're quite secretive about what goes on in their factory, as are all manufacturers. But you can most certainly go and have a look around the JCB experience. What got you into construction equipment, Mark? Do you want the story? I've got time. Yeah, I'll tell you the story. So I was writing about hotels and restaurants at the time, seriously. And my then editor, a guy called Andy Pring, left Caterer and Hotel Keeper, where we'd worked together, and he joined a magazine, sadly no longer with us, a magazine called Contract Journal. He'd only been there for about a fortnight, and he phoned me up and he said, there's a job going here for a junior reporter. It would suit you down to the ground. You should apply. So I applied and expected to go through, the formal interview process. Well, the formal interview process consisted of me going to meet up with Andy. We sat there and drank coffee and chatted for about 2 hours, at which point he offered me the job. I hadn't looked at Contract Journal as a magazine at all. Literally never read a single word. And I accepted the job because it was more money, and I was in my 20s, and obviously that's what you do when you're in your 20s. And I had a look at the magazine, which he handed me on my way out. And I thought, well, I don't understand any of it, but I'm sure I can learn. And when I arrived, I started out as a junior reporter. I'd only been there about 3 days, I guess. And I was told that I was going off to cover the launch of some Case skid steer loaders at a Surrey hotel, which I remember to this day. It was called the Anugraha Hotel. And bear in mind, this is 34 years ago, fairly soon. I went off. We drove the skid steers. I'd never even seen a skid steer before. Drove the skid steer, absolutely destroyed the lawn at the Anugraha Hotel. I'm pretty sure they didn't realise what they were letting themselves in for. Came back, wrote about it, handed it to my then section editor, a guy called Adrian Barker, who liked the magazine, is sadly no longer with us, and expected him to rip it to pieces. And he basically said, yeah, it's perfect. We'll have you doing more of that. And that was it. It was as simple as that. And the story that I always tell that then kind of sealed the deal, as it were. A couple of weeks later, I was sent to a demolition site over in Hertfordshire to see a brand new hydraulic breaker working. And I arrived on site. Now, to give you some context, one of my last jobs with a caterer and hotel keeper, I'd been to a hotel down in Wales that had been completely refurbished and everything else. Gone there with the photographer. And we were there for the entire day. We arrived about, I don't know, 7:30, 8 o'clock in the morning, and we didn't leave until about 6 o'clock in the evening. And at no point during that day were we offered so much as a glass of water or a cup of coffee. But despite the fact that this was the hospitality industry, there was no hospitality whatsoever. Fast forward about a month, I'm now working for Contract Journal, and I arrive on a demolition site, walk on, introduce myself, and the guy says, "Would you like a cup of tea?" I said, "Absolutely, I'd like a cup of tea." And he said, "The kettle's in the corner and I take 2 sugars." And it was like, these are more like my people. And here we are nearly 34 years later, and I'm still here. You just listen, you know, I mean, you are all in your various ways. You're all skilled people. Al Grierson's a bloody teacher, for crying out loud. There's something about this industry that just, once you're exposed to it, it's like some sort of pernicious disease. Once you've got it, and you don't shake it off. Al Grierson reckons that our friend Ken is getting free money. I bet that's not the case. Mark, I think Dan is spot on. We need a factory and testing ground tour. Dear Mark, can you fix it for us, plant addicts, to visit JCB? I for one thing, I wish I could. I really, really wish I could. But can you fix it for us? Just makes me feel a little uncomfortable, given all that we know about the host of that show now. Ken is a creature of repetitive habit. I think we all are to a degree, but he takes it to a whole new level. It's a whole new level. Well, it is Friday today, isn't it? It is Friday today. Go over to Facebook at some point around about 6:30 this evening and see what flavour pizza Ken Hatter is having for dinner tonight. He will be, trust me. JC Balls, rather, not JCB, have a Balls. JC Balls have a yard open day sometimes. They have some lovely vintage kit, a true plant-loving family business. I'm aware of them, never been to their yard, but I'm certainly aware of them. Lou is taking the opportunity to remind you, you can now register for Plantworks, and it is 100% free. There you are, plantworks.co.uk. I'm not entirely sure why it's app.plantworks.co.uk, but it is free to register. Go and have a look. Steve Williams and Mark got thrown out of the porn industry. That's what got him into the construction industry. There was a little bit of that. Now, in actual fact, the porn industry was going on at the same time as... If anybody has never heard the porn story, I wasn't in porn. I was writing porn. Just to be I don't want any misunderstanding here. Nobody needs to see this. I was writing it. But no, I was doing that at the same time I was writing about diggers. Diggers and dogging or something. I don't know. Steve Williamson says, I'd like to do demo driving and be an instructor full time. You never know. They are always on the lookout, these companies. I know a number of people over the years, and I'm sure Nick will say exactly the same, the number of people that have left the UK. For some reason, it used to be a lot of Geordies used to do it. Used to leave the UK and then go and join the Caterpillar demo team over in Malaga, and never to return. And who can blame them? Malaga's lovely. Nick Cruz has got my break into all this media madness with Contract Journal online back in 2008, courtesy of Will Mann. Never looked back since. It's all it takes, isn't it? It is that one person. And you know, I'm not going to bore you with it now, but my shift into journalism, I was literally working in the post room at a publishing company, and a guy who was editor of a computer magazine, a guy called Gary Miles, apparently spotted something in me, and he said, you know, come and play these computer games, because you're young, but you know, we think there's something about it. And he paid for me to attend a journalist training course, and that's it. That was my path forged. Would like nothing more than to do that for somebody else. I always feel like Gary Miles paid it forward and giving me the shot. I'd love to do that for somebody else. Nick Drew criticising our friend Ken Hatcher for being a creature of habit. Luke Carney says, Nick Drew, kettle black. 100%. Yourself and Nick have cracking jobs. Jealous slightly. Yeah, it's listen. It is a job. It is a job, but most of it is good. I mean, some of it's ball-achingly dull. Some of it is mind-numbingly frustrating. But by and large, you know, when you look back, and I can look back a long way now. I can look back 34 years in this industry, and I have met 4 or 5 complete and utter arseholes in that time. But when you think of all the thousands of people that I have met over that time, by and large, you know, this industry is where I'd like to be. And it's that makes it, you know, and even this, you're turning up every day and getting to hang out with you guys. How bad's that? How bad's that as a job? What do you think, lads? Who's up for a JCB tour group booking? They do have, and I realise we have a bit of a mixed audience here. JCB do regularly host an influencer day. I know I've been on it, Fred's been on it, Nick Drew's been on it, Peter Haddock's been on it. I'm fairly sure Ken Hatcher's been on it as well. But if I hear of any more, guys, I will let you know. I mean, I think the likes of Steve Williamson almost certainly counts as an industry influencer now. So if I can wave a magic wand and get that to happen, I'll certainly do what I can. I've done the JCB factory tour. We flew down from Scotland, the JCB private jet, absolutely amazing, and we gotten a fantastic welcome and reception. You're one above me. I've never been on the jet, so you one ahead of me. I did have a teapot delivered by helicopter once, May 1990, day of my wedding, 12th of May 1990. JCB flew a JCB teapot down as my wedding present. It's still here, still safe and sound, still in one piece all these years later. Much like my marriage. Right, people, I think that was probably going to do us. What else have we got here? Scrap the factory tour. Let's have a group booking for Diggerland. There are plenty of them about. I've been to the one in Kent. I've not been to any of the others. I think there's one up in the northeast. Is there one in Scotland these days? I don't actually know. But the one in Kent, great fun. More of a kids thing, I would say. But it's good fun. You know, why would you not? But yes, I would. Let me have a word. I mean, I certainly can't make any promises, but I've already reached out to JCB and I am speaking to them about potentially hosting one of these shows live and direct from the JCB factory, and getting some of the JCB guys on. We'll just do a dedicated JCB show one day. I'd love to do that. And as I say, I am speaking to them about that. But maybe, just maybe, we might be able to extend that and possibly do something else. I'm not expecting them to lay on a specific day for me and for my mates here, but maybe off the back of something else, maybe we might be able to do something. I don't know. Or maybe we can do it with a dealer. Maybe one of the dealers might be willing to accommodate all of us Herberts in one big hit. Let's see what we can do. Right, people, I'm going to love you and leave you. I'm going to wish you all a very, very good weekend. I'll be back here Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. No show next Friday because I'm led to believe it is Good Friday. I use Google Calendar, blissfully unaware of the fact that it's Good Friday, because being self-employed and being a Google Calendar user, such things do not matter to me. That's apparently the case. I can already see Mark trying to herd us through the JCB factory without losing anyone. I just walk in front of you with an umbrella and hope that you follow. Like herding cats, I would imagine. But having said that, I am the person... I've never been lost, but I have to say, walking around factories, I do get kind of distracted. If something really takes my fancy, I'm stood there with a phone in hand or a camera in hand, filming whatever it is I'm looking at, and look up and find that the rest of the party have already left and have sat down for lunch. Mark knows Hugh from HE Services. Maybe he can get tickets for Diggerland. You never know. I do know Hugh. I haven't seen him for a year or two, obviously because of COVID and stuff. But Hugh was I was his co-driver. He drove a JCB from John O'Groats to Land's End back in around about May 1989, long before the likes of Steve Williamson was even born, probably. Yes, we did that together, and paths cross every once in a while. I've been invited down to his what's the company called? eVision, his Tesla hire company, a couple of times as well, which is a fantastic event as well. And Tony Goddard says, have a great mark. Yes, do have a great mark. I will do my best to have a great mark. Right, everybody, go and do your things. Have a great weekend. I'll see you again on Monday for more of this old stuff and nonsense. Till then.